All right. Let me get into some theoretics here, okay? So the word wizard. So 5 represents 5 blocks, right? So the scars on my body are represented by me going through all 8 of these rituals as a child. Essentially, in SRA, there's a wizard's way, and then there's, well, sometimes this box is up here, okay? So sometimes it starts with a 1 box, and that's just this scar, okay? So the whole idea is that progressively, if you have 2, that's wizard. Person is still the wizard. I have this mark on the end of my penis. That is considered pedochrist, right? Just is. So then I have 2 of these scars on my eye. The first scar means that I went through this ritual and that I already keep in mind that they redo these at the little child. So essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one, 2 Jews. So 5, right? This one. And so that's the one where they stab a little child in the chest with a wooden stake. Right? So then, essentially, this represents another full-blown ritual. And so this is what they do as a child. This is what they do to SRA victims as children. This block represents being an adult and completely refraining from all of this. So this is what brings me to this term, wizard. The clan is warlocks. They are not technically wizards. The children of SRA that are done in the authentic scarring way, the authentic way, are considered wizards or witches. The clan, they essentially, they put the child through most basically this, but in a backwards way or a bitch way. That is what makes them a warlock society. Right? So, the reality is that doing it in the bitch way does not receive the scars. Basically. See, when a clan member goes bad, they usually start doing this stuff. But they essentially start with this out at a camp where they have what is the 9 gates of hell, with usually they leave out the 9th gate. This, to Jude, that is the 9th gate. The second time you do this, I didn't receive a scar, but it is literally the most authentic satanic ritual, and it's essentially lots of children all being killed and shit, okay? This, out at a camp, is known as the Great Cuckolder. See, theoretically, the Klan has 4 Ks, but at the 4th K, you have to bring everybody. This one's done behind the scenes. Most these aren't usually known by the regular group of normal ones, I guess. This one, to do authentically, you literally have to have all of the other people with those robes and shit added. The reason that they don't have 4 Ks is because they don't do this. And so the whole idea is that nobody who does this stuff will ever be anything. And that if they become something, then essentially the Klan makes a huge example of what never to fucking be out of them. Right? It's the truth. Nowadays, this type of stuff, all of these rituals sometimes, they fuck club people through. At one camp, they literally do all of this. And that then, here in Tri-Cities, they have essentially Prairie Petal Bay in Farmway, where they essentially do all of this. Right? And so the reality is they don't like people doing that shit anymore. They really don't. At all. This stuff is done by their rich kids that end up going off to frat colleges. And then the frats tell them about this stuff. And then they end up doing ultimate 9 gates of fucking sick fucking. Right? This is the stuff that's plagued them because, you know, they're always rich most of the time nowadays, you know. Not all of them, but, you know, most of them come from money and shit nowadays. And that with that comes them going to decent colleges, and that these people, their rich kids, usually go into fraternities. And that then those fraternities, they know all of this stuff. They do. And so the reality is that nowadays there's a dark web system that runs out of, well, this one runs out of China. When they do this stuff, it runs out of China KGB. I mean, it's basically, I guess more or less, it's like, it would be China KGB down in the south, because it's like a massive world system. But in the west, it basically goes into North Korean KGB net. The whole idea is that they have a world that supposedly accepts. They don't look the other way. If it gets found out about, they get punished, but they don't turn people in. But if you go too far, there's no science in the cuck. Theoretically, that's these blocks, right? So what that term or phrase or saying means, it pertains to them. It means not to do science. This is what the 4th K means. It means to kill those people for being sick fucks. Okay, to get to this level, this stuff is usually done to another child. This stuff usually happens that people use their own child sometimes and to do this stuff. And that this is what 3 is. I guess negative 3. Negative 3. I guess it would be better represented like this. Basically, it's the backwards world of their world. All right? This is important because you know what? The Clan's 50, their hookup site and shit, essentially has this as the leaderships type of shit. Okay? That is what the leaders have to do to be leaders in that 50 hookup site shit. Alright? So, basically, they, in a warlock way, the whole idea is that these kings are children in the clan that are put through this. And that usually they have 3 separate ones that emerge because everybody goes bitch brain, goes to a Baptist church. Everybody goes to a Baptist church their whole life. And then all of a sudden, they get into their 30s and then they start doing ultimate Satanism. Okay? And that the clan views them as bitch brains. They really do. This, and that then all of a sudden, 3 little boys emerge like Satany boy. Theoretically, you know, the psychological aspects to what they do are similar. They essentially do this. It's like there's a procedural method of doing this scar. They do the procedure backwards here. But essentially, it ends up doing a similar thing to those children. And then, since the theoretical ideas of that stuff, those people were treated as nothing. And from nothing comes everything. And that is what is there. You know, they have David, who is the ungrand warlock. Okay? But that, you know, this is, I know everything about this. Okay? But that, yeah, that's the warlock. But see, theoretically, they have 3 secret kings. And that is where sometimes they become like, I guess they're dragons. Yeah, 3 dragons. They come imperial, weird. But these are dragons. In a real sense. But, because it's got to have the Satan scars to be Satan. Alright? And theoretically, this is the dragon. But that stuff doesn't pertain to anything in America, okay? That's in Europe. This stuff. Europe. 5. Royalty 5 number. That world is different. Right? And so, this is the clan's America world. So this one is usually considered what would be their grand dragon. And that then, which one is Ultimate Satan? Purple one. Purple one is this one. That dude, he switches into Satan. He does start hypnotizing people and shit. He will. They have those people. You know, I do this SRA like research for how psychology and stuff can utilize some of the wizard magic ideas in a psychology way. That include, you know what? Those people don't like that shit either. They fall into a category of people that I'm not going to be like biased about the fucking fucked up psychology shit that they did to them as children. And that then you fucking weird sick fucks are fucking with them and shit. They may be horrible people by now, who knows? Some may be the greatest, some may be the worst or something. But the reality is that I do psychology research on SRA. That includes warlock stuff. It does. Yeah. I'm not gonna be a dickhead about that stuff. I know all the things about this shit. Honestly. And so the reality is that those people were treated like Satany Boy as children. But see, the fourth Satany Boy you people kill. That's why they don't do that. See, in this one, essentially there'll be one person here. There'll be one person that went through this. There'll be one person that went through this. And then there'll be one person that went through this. See, in this one, the fourth Satany Boy, they don't kill. The reason that they don't allow this stuff is because they essentially, this would be like damn near who would represent probably what those old Klan members would view, or the old Nazis would view as their Ubermensch. See, the theoretical path here kills who is basically what would be the person eligible to be their Ubermensch in white supremacy. See? You see how fucking dumb that is? Alright. The whole idea is that if you took a child through all of that and then placed them through all of this, and then you killed that child, that is where you basically killed the white supremacy's like Ubermensch, theoretically. And you see that when I have this word in here and then this, that's because if you kill the white supremacy's Ubermensch, then they kill you. And that the exact moment after these rituals, that little boy would have literally become the most powerful white supremacist ever in history. And then you guys kill the person. That is why you can't do that. And that see, the only way that there could, here's what it is, I'll just tell you people, the only way that an Ubermensch could ever be made is if man, real man, this one, was at this ritual, because this person would see a little boy that damn near looks probably similar, and you people doing great cuckolder, right? And that man would then kill all of you to bitch move. And then white supremacy would have their Ubermensch. Okay? Basically, that is the only theoretical way. It's kind of like I know how to make the king of America and shit. I know see, this person isn't necessarily like considered. See, they view this box as who their Ubermensch would be. But theoretically, there's a wizard, there's a man, and then there's the king of warlocks, basically. Basically. And that in Europe, that is who that would be. But then, the whole idea is that the wizard that is man would literally kill all of you for trying to kill a little boy. That is the difference. Okay? And most of you potentially would have been put through this type of stuff. And then if you guys would kill a little boy that was put through that type of stuff, then you people are sick fucks. You people are supposed to kill people who do that type of shit to little boys and shit. That's literally what it is. And so, and then in the end, you're just not supposed to do anything to the little boy after being pummeled through all this shit. And then all three of you are supposed to kill the sick fucks. That's what that box is for. I mean, see, I know what their weird societal blackmail shit is. And that is where those people don't normally ever do that stuff correctly, because they're all bitch brains, and that they all just like being sick fucks. That's the theoretical aspect to people who get to this. They don't do that stuff minimally to set some weird Satan society like leadership or something. They do it because they like to be a sick fuck. And then those people, they love to figure out this shit, and then they love to kill and be a sick fuck. And that is pretty much why they only have 3 Ks. So, you see that this world is lesser than this world. You people aren't free because most of you do stuff that makes you all blackmail slaves. This is blackmail society. Blackmail society is slaves. When somebody gets your blackmail, then you have to be their slave. That means not free. That means not liber, not free, not liber, not liberal. These people always have to be in pedo party, a Republican, the unfree party. And so that's essentially you know what? This is Northwest. They moved up here too in 1900. You see, what the smart ones do up here is that, well, they do things backwards because I don't like Jew ways, but they do government, law, medicine, and science. Instead of doing sick fucking, they do government and law and medicine and science. Well, they'd probably be pretty good at economics, but that they usually, instead of doing the rainbows, they don't recognize my Jew block methods. This is actually econ block. But they do government in econ block. And what that means is subcontractors, basically. They do theoretical, like, research and subcontractor way instead of going to sick fuck. And then they basically they do smart medicine. They're supposed to do. They do smart psychology a lot of the times, and they do smart law a lot of the times. And then, basically, there's some old Nazis or something that basically are Klan members, and they do super smart science. That's what they do instead of doing sick fucking. So the whole idea is that you people do dumb, and that up here in the Northwest there tends to be some pretty decently smart white supremacists. They do smart. They do smart studies. And it's like up here in the Northwest, lots of people do smart studies. Up here in the Wizard's Rainbow, people do art studies, like smart versions of art studies, like college kind of art study. And then there's people that do theology studies. And then there's people that do philosophy studies. And then there's people that do like Democrat government study, research. And then everybody essentially does man stuff. You know, fixing something. Instead of having to go to the rainbow gathering, this is what the millennials do in the Democrat world. And if they don't want to go to the rainbow gathering every year at the solstice, then basically they do all the studies, and then they don't have to go to the rainbow gathering. And these dudes that do the smart study here, they make it to where they don't have to go to the rainbow gathering for being smart. You know, they have scientists in here that know how to do computer things, and that when people follow the theoretical society rules on the dark web, which is where the people that are in the rainbow gathering have to go, it's fucking dumb camps sometimes, they don't want to go. Right? They don't want to go. Because nowadays people are doing this stuff. See, it used to be at Barter Fair, this stuff would happen at Barter Fair, but nobody would really ever see it. Nowadays everybody has to see it and shit. Alright? So that's why nobody wants to go anymore. So instead everybody does smart. And so, since people were still trying to force them and shit, the ones that do smart instead of dumb sick fucking, they got pissed because they knew what happened. They had seen the smarter ones in this area. They had seen what all those hippies and shit had to watch and shit. Okay, you're not allowed to do that. So they made it so they could have a justifiable reason to not have to go. And that it means being smart. So, I'm going to run through some of this stuff real quick. So, the whole idea is that a pedo Christ cult, okay? You Christians. So, this is like where there was people that showed up doing this ritual in front of hippies and shit. Okay? You guys showed up, you guys preached the word and stuff, acted like Christians all day, and then essentially you guys like blatantly did this stuff in front of everyone. Okay? That was unacceptable. And then, essentially you Mormons showed up and preached your fucking stupid Mormon shit to a bunch of hippies that were just taking acid and shit. And then you guys did all this stuff. And then Amazon showed up and did 9 Gates of Hell in front of a bunch of fucking peace-loving hippies. Okay? And then, essentially, the wizards, witches, people essentially did the like one most horrible, like reoccurring memory that they hate in all the fucking world in front of them, right? See, the wizards, witches, seen that stuff as a little girl. Then, when they were like 14 or 15, would have seen that stuff again. And then, when they were in their 20s, would have seen that stuff again. And then, in their 30s, would have seen that stuff again. And then, they would have become like old hags or something. And then they would have finally been able to just be like some hippie or something out of the woods. Wouldn't have to see it ever again. And then you people showed up, showing the witches, showing the wizards, witches, my witches. The one memory, the thing they fucking hate the most. I'm surprised those women didn't fucking kill all of you. I'm really surprised. Some of them would have seen me in the 1980s. And that the whole idea is that they saw this in the 1980s about me. And that those women go to the Rainbow Gathering because that was their, like, they would just be lesbian and shit. And basically, that was their weird Wicca shit. Their weird Wicca correction or something. I don't know. At some point, some gay dudes or something came up when in the 1980s and just butt fucked and walked off or something. And so then they went out. They go out because they're not supposed to be lesbian, so they're blackmailed as being lesbian. And then you guys showed up at their secret lesbian moment. And then you guys did the one thing that like requires them. See, theoretically, this is like religious witches. And then this is usually gay dudes instead of witches. And then this is essentially like government people, right? But see, this one requires witches. And then you people, see, these ones, they wouldn't have to see this stuff. This one is the one they have to be a part of. Or people's, well, nowadays they all have this fucking cochlear implant speakers. If they wouldn't have seen that stuff, you guys would have been able to open up their speakers and be able to torture them into suicide in like a loud speaker. So, the whole idea is that just forcing them to watch that is the stupidest fucking dumbest thing you people ever did. Those poor women have been fucking tormented their whole lives. Whole fucking lives. And they're like old and shit. People are so fucked up. And you know what, sick fuck? You people are reaching the final level. What happens when you sick fuck to the bottom? What happens on the 4th K? Because you know why? You people are so fucking stupid. This, right here, forcing those witches to watch this, that is what makes this. See, if those Green Berets from the 1980s would have seen that, would have seen you people forcing those witches to have to watch that, they would have just done that instantly. They would have. That is what it is. The whole idea is that shit fucks with their brain in all fucking fucked up ways. The whole idea is that literally seeing that, they suffer from like a protection altar from being put through psychological tortures and shit. And then without the wizard, they start to become witches. It's kind of like these purple imperial. It's like that. And so forcing them to see that would have had their like dormant protection altar fucking snapping. And I'm real surprised that they didn't kill you people. They would have been old, and that's probably the only reason. And dumb wouldn't have been around to do their dumb box. And that's basically it. Is that shit is so fucked up to do to those women, and that even these three dudes, even they'll know that that's fucked up to do to those women. It really is. So that's the real reality. I mean, even these older chicks that basically, and that's kind of what it is. Is that what most of you may not realize is those witches got put through these rituals also, and that those pedo Christ witches as little girls got put through that also, and that then those gay dudes got put through this as little boys also, and that then those government workers got put through this also. Individually like this. Whatever, if it was done incorrectly, that doesn't really matter. They basically do. They basically do. Right? So, people have sick fucked everything to the bottom. And this is the prize you win. That's the only prize that you'll ever get out of doing this stuff. That's why I do this. Because I know that nothing will ever come from being these. Nothing will ever come. Well, that's just stuff that happened to me as a little boy. But the whole idea is that all that does is mean that I don't ever have to be doing anything. Basically, I don't ever have to do nothing. I don't ever have to do any Satanism. I don't have to do shit. Even under theoretics of Satanism, I never have to do Satanism. Okay? And that. Just remember that this is Warlock. And here in the United States, the whole idea is they just do Warlock. And that the whole idea is that I'm this. I was put from this side of the world through Warlock also. And I know exactly what to do at the end. Because the other one is to kill an Asian child, an Asian girl. And that's dumb, right? And that's the way to smarten that up is to kill sick fuck that forces the little boy to kill the Asian girl. And that's what I learned as a young boy. How to fix the prairie of Satan.